Good afternoon, namaste, and welcome. I had a panic attack the other day. Oh, she and her OCD about cleaning. All of us who've never struggled with a mental health issue, we don't give a second thought before using such phrases. But what we are actually doing is sending out a message of battling in silence to those who are struggling with mental health problems. Unbeknownst to us, we are displaying a lack of understanding and compassion for their situation. Today, in this, our third event around the matter of positive mental health, we are hopeful of starting a conversation on how mindful eating can lead to emotional well being. Thank you all for joining us here this afternoon. Chairperson Usha Rani Manni will elaborate further on this. May I request you, Usha, to light the auspicious lamp and deliver your welcome address.
Esteemed speakers Luke Coutinho, Aarti Deva, Ushasri Tripuraneni, past chairs, viewers, and my dear FLO members. Namaste. Preventive health is something the entire medical fraternity of the world advocates, and we ourselves are totally wary of. Annual health checkups have become a way of life for most of us now. In recent years, though, I have often wondered, why are we not being reminded to be aware of our mental health just as we are for our physical well-being? As Harvard Health pointed out way back in 2008, anxiety has now been implicated in several chronic physical illnesses, including heart disease, chronic respiratory disorders, and gastrointestinal conditions. Given this, one question becomes vital for us to ask ourselves: why are we refusing to acknowledge that we are as prone to mental illness as we are to physical illness? Why are we not still taking mental health as seriously as we should be? On July 31st, FLO Hyderabad, in association with Roshni NGO, launched a year-long campaign to spread the message of positive mental health. Through our campaign, we will be urging those who are undergoing the symptoms to reach out to those who can help. Could be professionals, family members, or friends, and also urging those who are around them to extend a hand, an ear, shoulder in help. Because when we reach out, there is always somebody. In August, our program on Ikebana and Ikigai by past chairperson Rekha Reddy dwelt on the topic of mindfulness by reconnecting with nature. On the occasion of World Suicide Prevention Day on September 10th, Roshni and FLO have floated a Say No to Suicide video challenge. Through today's discussion on the food-mood connection, we hope to raise awareness about the importance of good nutrition on our mental and emotional well-being. Especially relevant topic in these times when working from home has become the norm. I'm thankful to our past chairpersons for lending their support to meaningful endeavors such as this. The Reach Out theme song brought out by FLO Hyderabad immortalizes just this. IT team, can we have the video of Reach Out theme song, please?
If you're living in a house of stone, hidden in the shadows of gloom, waking up to the alarm of a silent weeping soul, remember to reach out. There's always somebody who can help you misery for company. And you can't go on no more. Remember to reach out. There's always somebody who can help you walk in light again. If the song inside you is an endless scream, and your days are filled with lonely nights, remember to reach out. There's always somebody who can help you dance to your breath again. Be a lifeline, become the sun, bloom as a rainbow. Be a soft guiding light and reach out and reach out. When you feel you've walked 1,000 steps with nothing but misery for company, and you can't go on no more. Remember to reach out. There's always somebody who can help you walk in light again. Remember to reach out. There's always somebody. Remember to reach out. There's always somebody. Remember to reach out. There's always somebody.
Thank you. Our speaker this afternoon, Luke Coutinho, is someone I have followed closely over the years. I clearly remember the last time he spoke to us here at FLO Hyderabad. I was so impressed with his talk that I had requested him to speak to my colleagues at work, which he so graciously did. I have always found that following his four-part mantra of balanced nutrition, adequate exercise, quality sleep, and emotional detox works wonders. I must confess that I can't stay true to them all the time, but I do aspire to get there sometime soon. Aarti, I'm so glad that you agreed to come on board with us on this talk.
Okay.
I'm highly impressed with your professional approach, not to mention your splendid credentials in the area of plant-based functional foods. In this context, I must mention that FLO Hyderabad has just signed an MOU with NutriHub, the incubator of Indian Institute of Millet Research, to support and fuel the growth of entrepreneurs in the sector. It brings me great pleasure to welcome Ushasri Tripuraneni, Director at Roshini NGO, an organization that has been rendering free services in the area of psychological well-being to all age groups through its helpline and counseling center. I request you to say a few words, Usha. Over to Ushasri.
Yeah, you need to unmute, Ushasri.
Okay. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, you can go to Shishri.
Thank you, the FLO chairperson Usha Rani and her team for giving me this opportunity. From the beginning of this year, the pandemic altered people's day-to-day lives all around the world. The way we operate daily has become a part of a new norm, as we continue our war with this invisible enemy. There is another invisible enemy the world has been combating with for centuries, that is suicide. This specific enemy causes indescribable pain, heartache, and incessant grief. Suicide is a complex problem. There is no one single explanation that triggers this behavior. It is a major public health concern. Every year, 8 million people die by suicide. In India, in 2019 alone, 139,123 suicides happened. Can you believe this? This is not taking into account the attempted and unreported ones. One suicide every minute is happening somewhere in the world. Just the way we are trying to make a vaccine for corona, is there any one single remedy to prevent suicides? No, is the unfortunate answer. So how do we prevent suicides then? Let us look at few challenges. Few important challenges we face are the social stigma and the taboo associated with it. Suicide is the result of a convergence of many factors. Among various risk factors, depression is the most common psychiatric disorder in people who die by suicide. If we are able to intervene at the right time when a person is going through depression, we can prevent suicides to a large extent. Roshni is one such organization relentlessly working towards this for the past 23 years by giving free, confidential, emotional support for the depressed and suicidal. Despair, anxiety, loneliness know no geographical boundaries and make no geographical distinctions. We at Roshni believe that talking and therapeutic listening helps. Our volunteers accept our callers unconditionally, listen to them in a compassionate and non-judgmental way. Every year, 10th September is observed as World Suicide Prevention Day all over the world. This year, the theme is working together to prevent suicides. We conduct many programs to create awareness about warning signs of depression and suicidal thoughts because depression is treatable. Hence, suicide is preventable. Each one of us has a role to play together, and we can collectively address the challenges presented by suicidal behavior in our society. As a part of this campaign, Roshni has collaborated with FLO in the month of August for an ongoing, a year-long campaign with the message, reach out, there is always somebody. Roshni is also spreading this message by starting a campaign on social media, asking people to take up the challenge of saying no to suicide in a short video clip and requesting others also to do the same. I request all viewers of this program to participate in this campaign and reach out to many more people and make this program a big success. When a celebrity speaks for a social cause, the response is tremendous, and hopefully this message reaches every nook and corner of the world. I have heard many of your talks, Mr. Luke, and you have mentioned numerous times about how important it is to listen in a compassionate and non-judgmental manner. Hence, I, on behalf of Roshni, would like to request today's eminent speaker and wellness coach, Mr. Luke, to give us a short video as a part of our ongoing challenge on preventing suicide by seeking timely help on the occasion of this World Suicide Prevention Day on 10th September. I hope Usha Rani agrees with me on this, and we'll ask Mr. Luke to give it maybe immediately after the program now. We hope this will go viral and the profound message from you will reach far and wide to all age groups. Mental health is to be given equal importance as that of physical health, emotional health, and spiritual health, as Mr. Luke says in most of the videos. Nutritional psychiatry might be a fairly new field right now, but it has always existed. As we all experience sometimes the gut feeling, no? It inevitably shows the connection of our mind and gut. I am also eager to listen and be more aware about this connection along with you all. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ushasri. I'll go over to you, Priya.
Thank you. Thank you, Usha. Moving on quickly, I will now make the impossible attempt to encapsulate our speaker's journey and achievements. Coutinho is a globally renowned holistic lifestyle coach in the field of integrative medicine. He is the founder of Coutinho Holistic Healing System, a company of medical doctors, nutritionists, dietitians, yoga therapists, lifestyle coaches, clinical dietitians, emotional and mental health professionals, and integrative medicine specialists who all come together to provide services in the areas of integrative medicine, disease, preventive medicine, and coaching. The company's ecosystem includes building sustainable and healthy food chains. Wellness being the need of the hour, Luke has co-founded Reset, Holistic Living Concepts, a one-of-a-kind facility for individuals voyaging towards holistic well-being. Reset is present in Mumbai, Pune, and has 2 centers in Bangalore. He is also an advisor and head of integrative lifestyle and nutrition at Pure Nutrition. Luke has authored several books on wellness and has 3 bestsellers to his credit. His most recent release is a digital book, The Magic Immunity Pill Lifestyle, a free gift to India and the world. Joint Secretary Radhika Agarwal will now introduce Aarti Deva.
Thank you, Priya. Aarti Deva is the founder and CEO of Strive, plant-powered nutrition, a wellness company that makes 100% plant-based, dairy-free protein products. She built an innovative, ethical, knowledge-based team that launched India's first and on-ready-to-drink, dairy-free, high-protein plus superfood beverage that helps women, sportsmen, even young athletes, as well as busy professionals. Her mission is to inspire a culture of clean eating, active, holistic living. Her philosophy is to make educated choices and make sure you play. The body, the mind needs both rest and play. Aarti is a biotechnologist and a life sciences graduate. She has a master's in biotech from the prestigious University of Pennsylvania. She has worked on $B cancer drug launches globally. She worked closely with scientists, physicians, drug makers, and hospitals over 7 years before starting her own company. She is a fitness enthusiast, a product innovator, and an evangelist for healthy plant-based living. Now, I invite Aarti Deva to start her conversation with our special guest, Luke Coutinho.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Luke. Hi, everybody.
Hi, how are you doing?
Doing well. How are you doing, Luke?
Very well, thank you.
Are you sitting out of Bangalore or Bombay today?
I'm in Goa right now. I'm actually in Goa.
Well, lucky you. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm really, truly overwhelmed by the cause that we're speaking for today. And this forum has truly been an inspiration. I've been interacting with this forum for the last 2 days. It's an unbelievable community of entrepreneurs, very powerfully connected women who have very good intentions. And today we have a very important topic for the well-being of everyone, but specifically on not just mental health, but just, how does the mind work and how does nutrition, affect us? So a quick note, today's topic is about the food, mind, the gut connection, and how does that impact us? So Luke, it's an honor to be here with you. I'm a personal fan of yours. I had to start the conversation by telling you that. So without
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to dive in right to our very first question, which is, as Usha has introduced you, we understand, especially from your perspective, that our well-being, everybody knows it's connected to nutrition. But I know from your perspective that there's so many other things that affect our well-being, whether it's yoga, meditation, detox, making sure that our stress levels are down, our cortisol levels are down. But especially given the current situation that's been surrounding us for 5 months, I think this topic is so relevant, not just with respect to mental health, but even this group and just sort of uplifting everybody and thinking through, how does nutrition specifically and how we think about food, how does it sort of affect us? So my specific question is, could you explain the connection between food and the state of our mind? Why is it that certain foods affect the way we feel and the way we behave? Over to you, Luke.
Great, thank you. So thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be on this platform again. Food is everything. We need to understand, but I want to be upfront. Nutrition today is a little overhyped. Everyone thinks it's all nutrition. But let's look at a scenario where there are people who are eating extremely healthy diets, but yet they have a lot of depression, health problems, cholesterol levels, and all of that stuff. So yes, food is important, but it's not everything. If we're going to use food to make the brain work better, if we're going to use food to impact your moods, it's not going to work alone. There has to be food with blood circulation. So with blood circulation, we need exercise, okay? If I sleep well at night, my choices of food the next day are going to be very different compared to if I have a night of sleep deprivation, because that controls my hormones. My hormones are regulated with my gut. My gut is dependent on the food that I eat. Let's talk about stress levels. Food is food. Our bones, our muscles, our tendons, our ligaments, everything is comprised of the food that we eat. So we either eating the right food or the wrong food. Now, if I'm extremely stressed, what I choose to eat is going to be very, very different from when I'm not stressed, when I'm happy and everything's going my way. So you see, food is important, but I'm going to be upfront. There are no magic foods. Yes, there are certain foods that do have an impact on the brain, which require amino acids like tryptophan and tyrosine and all of that stuff. But today, I want everyone on the platform to understand we are going to talk about nutrition, but the important part is how do we link it with everything else? Because I'll be lying if I said food alone is going to be able to change our mood. So yes, there's a direct connection. Our brains require energy. We have something called neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are chemical messengers that basically allow our nerves to communicate. Communicate what? Happiness. If I want to feel happy and I want to feel a sense of well-being right now, I need serotonin in me to be at a higher level. If my serotonin is low, I'm going to feel lonely. I'm going to feel sad. I'm going to have this attention-seeking mechanism for things that can just make me feel happy for a couple of seconds. Let's talk about dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter as well. If I want to feel motivated to work out, motivated that despite the lockdown, there are so many things I can do. That's motivation. Okay, I need my dopamine levels to be high. For that, I need to make sure that I'm eating the right foods and I have the right amino acids that can produce dopamine. So then there's GABA, G-A-B-A, which is necessary for me to feel calm and feel good. So when we meditate, we produce GABA. When we eat certain foods, we also produce GABA. So you see, it's a combination of everything. So if I said the best foods for serotonin right now are eggs and almonds, we can sit down and eat as many eggs and almonds as we want to, but it doesn't mean that my serotonin is going to boost. I have to integrate it with every other aspect. So that's the beauty of lifestyle. When we eat the right foods, we exercise the right way. Nothing has to be extreme. We give our bodies sufficient sleep. And everyone has stress levels. Everyone looks negatively at stress. Stress doesn't always have to be negative. Stress is an energy that we can harness the right way. So like, a lot of people say, oh, this whole COVID for 5 months, it's de-stressed us, it's made us sad. The same other people who have been dealt the same hand have taken this time to create new businesses, new streams, learn new languages, spend more time. So it's the same energy that's dealt out to everyone, but everyone's harnessed it in a different way. So yes, when it comes to food, definitely, most definitely, food has an impact on the way you think, the way you feel, your stress levels, the way you look, your skin, your hair, your organ health, everything. Every time I try to coach people today by telling them, if you can't be motivated to eat well, there's only one thing, remind yourself. Every time before you eat something, just know that what you're putting in your body is either going towards creating you or destroying you. So with that motivation now, make the right choice. But yes, coming back to answer your question, your food and your moods can be directly related with one another. And at the same time, there are foods that can also decrease our moods. There are foods like, white sugar or ultra processed foods that can make us feel good for 5, 10, 15 minutes, or the thought of eating it can make us feel good. But the moment it's digested, within 5 to 10 minutes, we can actually have the opposite feeling. It can actually make us feel lower than we were before. And then there are foods like, coffees, beverages like coffees and teas. There's nothing wrong with it. But if we overdo it, if we're the kind of people who need like 5 cups to get us through the day, and what's happening is we're also decreasing our overall mood and our brain health by having too much of caffeine and too much of stimulant. So you have the high and then you have a deeper crash. The higher you go, the deeper is the crash. So that's how food is relevant to the way we feel, the way we think, and our daily emotions, from the time we wake up until we sleep.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you. And I'm so glad that you're really emphasizing how health and wellness is truly integrative, right? And you bang on highlighted that nutrition is one part, but unless everything else is in place, you're going to process things differently. And the way your outcome could be very different based on that. The next question might be a little bit more science-based, but I do think it would be important. Could you explain a little bit more about the gut-brain connection and the gut-brain axis? Just a little bit more, maybe a little bit of science to highlight, what exactly is happening? It sounds so disconnected. How is it that the brain responds a certain way? Could you highlight that, go a little bit deeper into that, please?
Sure. So for the longest time, we only thought that the central nervous system originated in the brain, that the brain controlled everything from movements. If I ask you to lift your little finger right now, it happens by brain function. But over the last couple of years, science has discovered that we have the second nervous system called the enteric nervous system. And that is in your gut. That's a completely new nervous system in your gut, and it's connected by a gut-brain axis directly to your brain. We have 12 cranial nerves that connect us together. One of them is the vagus nerve that we're all aware of. Your vagus nerve stimulates your moods, your feelings of, wellness, of well-being. And it can also help us get out of depression. It can help us boost our immune system. It's all interconnected. The simplest example I can give you is whenever we get nervous or we have, timelines to submit a project, we feel, butterflies. Like they say, you feel butterflies in your stomach. You feel nervous. Some people run to pass a motion when they're stressed out or when they're anxious. When you look at a patient who has IBS, that's irritable bowel syndrome, they pass multiple motions. And when you ask them what the triggers are, it's stress. So on that basis, we know that the gut and the brain are interrelated. So when the brain gets a signal of stress, it creates a response of inflammation in the gut. That inflammation in the gut gives you that urge to pass a stool or to want to go to the toilet. You may not pass a stool, but you feel like doing it. So we know today 100%, including the microbiome in the gut. The best way to explain the microbiome is think of it as a field. And it's a field of bacteria, trillions of different bacteria, good and bad. And we need both of them. So we have good bacteria and bad bacteria. The good bacteria is necessary for communicating with hormones, communicating with the immune system, even communicating with insulin and thyroxine. So which is why when a patient who has thyroid is extremely stressed, we look at their health and their gut health, and usually you'll find that they also are constipated or they have acidity or bloating. So that establishes a direct connection. So today when we treat diabetes or we treat depression or we treat, the thyroid, we really look at the gut because it all starts off over there. You can't really treat the brain for all of these things, you treat the gut. So the microbiome, like I said, has good bacteria and bad bacteria. Everything is great as long as the good bacteria and bad bacteria are growing in the right proportion. The moment the bad bacteria grows more than the good bacteria, that's when all the problems begin. That bad bacteria starts poking holes in your intestinal walls, okay? And your intestinal walls, think of it as a thin fishing net with small holes, okay? So we eat our food, it gets digested, comes down to the intestines, and then across this fishing net, we absorb all the vitamins, the minerals, the proteins. It gets into our blood, and our blood circulates it to every single cell in the human body and our organs. Now, because these bad bacteria start poking holes in the fishing net, these small holes, which are perfect, now start getting larger and larger. So now certain food particles and molecules, which should be exiting our system, squeeze through and get into our blood. And now once that happens, our immune system wakes up to attack it because it's not supposed to be in the blood. And that's when we start getting a Hashimoto's, lupus, all the autoimmune conditions, your arthritis, your vitiligos, all of these, any autoimmune condition, you got to consider the gut because there's a problem with your bacteria. So in short, even with patients of depression, or you're not feeling good, it doesn't always have to be, a lot of people think they're depressed, but they just feel low all the time. But they've kind of Googled the symptoms and correlated it, and they've labeled themselves as depressed. But the moment we clean out the gut completely, reduce inflammation, they start feeling better automatically. Because if I have poor gut bacteria, it produces something called brain fog. Brain fog doesn't allow my neurotransmitters to work the right way. And it gives me a constant signal of, feeling tired, feeling demotivated, low on energy. And so then we label ourselves as depressed. But in a lot of patients, just by cleaning out the gut or keeping the gut in the equation of healing, it establishes what a strong connection there is between the gut and the human mind as well.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you so much for highlighting that. And I think to the forum here and everybody that's listening, traditional medicine, and especially medicine with physicians today, majority of them, let's face it, do not talk about exactly what Luke is addressing. Most people might address depression or other mental health issues, or how you're feeling. They might be looking in all the other places except for the gut. So I think it's really important to, this conversation here, it just highlights that the root cause is something that we could possibly just control. It definitely is very much, in our hands. And thank you for the additional science. I'm sure everybody really benefited from that. Our next question is going to be asked by Chairperson Usha. Over to you, Usha.
First of all, thank you so much for joining here, Luke.
Good to see you, Usha. Good to see you after so long. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. The topic of nutrition and your expertise in it both are of high relevance at all times, and especially now. My question to you is, our brain is such an energy-intensive organ. It is estimated that it uses up around 20% of our body's calories, which means we need to make sure we supply it with a healthy diet. So what is the specific nutrition that you think is absolutely necessary for boosting brain health?
Great. That's a great question, Usha, because, a lot of people don't understand that, we can use about 600 to 800 calories a day, only our brain. So, a lot of people, that's why after working through an entire day, you feel tired to do your workout. But you've planned to do it, you're motivated to do it, but the body doesn't support you because we've used so much of brain power. We don't calculate that. And that's why we're so against people doing fad diets. Everyone's trying to get on different diets. I'm not against keto diets, and, do it for the right reasons, but they fail to calculate the amount of energy that the brain uses. Someone who's an entrepreneur building businesses, constantly strategizing, using their brain, you would have to add on 400 to 500 calories more of food into their plan rather than reducing it. But everyone's trying to lose weight and they're cutting down on calories or doing fad diets that work on deprivation. So two things happen, and everyone who's done a fad diet will know this. Number one, people on fad diets are never happy. They're always irritable. They're always unhappy because their brains don't get sufficient food. You see, the human body and the brain doesn't care about our conscious mind weight loss goal. We want to lose that weight, but your body only is concerned about survival. If I am not getting sufficient food for my brain and body, I am automatically going to move into survival instinct, which is stress mode. I'm going to create my own levels of cortisol and everything else. And that's where the irritability and everything comes up. So for example, I had a patient who needs 2,000 calories, but uses his brain for almost 15 to 16 hours. He's a data scientist. We needed to add 800 calories more only to maintain his energy levels. So if you see, that's where fad diets fail. They only focus on weight loss, but they don't focus on brain health. And it's a brilliant question, because if you look in today's world, cognitive disorders, which is brain problems, are on the rise. Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, ALS. People 5 years ago wouldn't even know what these terms meant. But today, almost everyone knows someone who's suffering from it. And today, if we want to look after our brain health, we need to start now, not when we're 50, 60, and 70. Our brain cells are slowly dying as we speak, as we work every day. If we have deficiencies of like vitamin B12, if we don't have the right amount of omega-3s, if we don't have the right amount of fats, good fats, we're very good at filling our diets with the bad fats. But those bad fats, in fact, create more inflammation and brain problems. So when it comes to food for the brain, it's really simple. You need good fats. I think the women and men who go oil-free cooking and cut out fats, they do the most damage to their health over time. And number one, if you cut down fat, it doesn't mean you lose fat. In fact, the right amount of fat helps you burn fat. So, this whole keto concept today, and people are going on high fat and high protein diets, it does make a lot of scientific sense, because carbohydrates are actually the culprit. We need carbs. Even people who go very low carb or off carb, they damage their bodies in the long run. We need carbs, but more than carbs, we need proteins and fats. So what are some of the good fats that we have right now? The number one thing is get off refined oils. That is a lie sold to us by the food lobbies for the longest time. Before refined oils even hit our country, India would live on pure ghee, cold-pressed coconut oils, cold-pressed groundnut oils. These were wood-churned in mills and villages and all of that stuff. And then refined oils came, marketed well, packaged well. All of that has created inflammation in our bodies. Post the refined oil industry opening up in our country, we saw an increase in cardiovascular diseases, obesity, diabetes, and everything else. So my first thing is focus on good fats. You find good fats in your pure oils, your cold pressed, your wood churned, your homemade ghees, your ghees which are made out of A2 milk. This is brain power. This is brain food for you. The second is you find good fats in nuts, almonds, cashew nuts, pistachios, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, all of these things, unsalted. But a lot of people think if I eat nuts, I'm going to get fat. They don't understand that the good fats actually boost your metabolism. It produces something called thermogenesis, which actually helps you burn more fat. Well, coffee is a good brain food as well, as long as you do it the right way. If your coffee is going to be a Starbucks Frappuccino with all the, the vanilla and the whipped creams and the sugars, that's bad for you. But plain black coffee, 1 to 2 cups in a day, is brain power for you. In fact, we give a lot of our Alzheimer's patients and Parkinson's to stimulate the brain. As long as you're not overdoing it, keeping it to 1 to 2 cups, a little bit of caffeine is great. If you don't like caffeine, it doesn't mean you have to start it, because there are several other options. Turmeric. Turmeric for the longest time has been called Indian gold. Today, it's more glorified in the West. And while the West adopts it, in India, we're trying to adopt all the fancy nutraceuticals and everything that they're actually rejecting and using things like pure ghee, coconut oil, and turmeric. Turmeric is local to our country. It is great for your brain health. Turmeric, ginger, cinnamon, all of our spices. So if we're really cooking Indian food the right way, we all automatically get these foods, which are great for us. When did Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and cognitive brain disorders hit our country? Way after the West. It never started in India. It came from the West when we started changing our lifestyles. Then we have dark chocolate. If you have good quality dark chocolate, 70% and above, that is brain food. That is great food for your brain. When it comes to fruits and vegetables, the berry family. So since we're in India, what are our local berries? We have the amla, which is the Indian gooseberry. We have strawberries in the right season. Oranges are fantastic for the brain, and so are bananas. All of these have the ability to stimulate brain function. If you're non-vegetarian, eggs, the full egg, the yellow and the yolk and the white together is a complete brain food altogether. Green tea as well. If you don't like very strong caffeine, you can do green tea. We spoke about coconut oil and ghee. Avocados, that's available today. If you're a meat eater, salmon is a great brain food because of the omega-3. If you're vegetarian, you'll find that in walnuts, you'll find that in flax seeds as well, and staying hydrated. But more than just adding foods, we got to be very careful as a country. A lot of Indians, 1 in 2, are deficient in vitamin B12 and vitamin D3. So you want to get your levels checked every 6 months because, things have changed, lifestyles have changed. And we see a commonality of low B12 in all of our patients who have poor brain health. So it's extremely important for us to look at these foods when we're looking at the health of the brain.
Thank you, Luke. Actually, nowadays, there is so much information available at what we should be eating and what is bad for us. It is so difficult to sort out through all the noise and distinguish between the myths and facts. Thank you for simplifying it all for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Back to Aarti.
Thanks.
Thank you, Luke, and thank you, Usha. Look, I think it's interesting because you've dived right into our next question and answered most of it, which is you've named the superfoods that we can really bring in the form of healthy fats, and of course, incredibly important vitamins and minerals that, make our brain function and power it. A specific question with some of these superfoods or with healthy nuts, is there a chance that somebody might emotionally binge on these? Is it possible to sort of go overboard? How should one be a little bit cautious about sort of balancing what's sort of the right amount, and so it doesn't turn into emotional eating? And I know, especially with these current times, people are a little bit concerned about overeating certain foods. Over to you.
So I think more than the food, emotional eating is connected to the way we feel. It's only when we really feel low, when we have an emotional issue or we're stressed or we have fear or anxiety, do we tend to reach out to these foods. So now nuts are great for us, okay? But you'll never find people really binging on plain nuts, but you'll find them binging on nuts that come packaged with salt and oil and deep fried nuts and all of these things, because that's how food is designed. The foods that we're addicted to are designed with salt and sugar. And most of the nuts that you get in the market, if you don't buy them plain and they're in packages, okay, if you really read the ingredients, you'll find a lot more ingredients than just nuts. That's the time you can really binge on it, because once you start having a couple of nuts that have salt in, you automatically, it's called salt is a neuroexciter. It excites our neurotransmitters, and that's why we crave. If you've ever opened a bag of chips, you can't just take one and stop at it. No way, because the brain has now created an addiction cycle, and you will have the second and the third, and you have to use a lot of willpower to stop it. And that's why when you have plain nuts, usually the rule of thumb in nutrition science is you can have a fistful of nuts and seeds in a day, the size of your fist. So now I would put my almonds together, my walnuts, my pumpkin seeds, whatever it is, mix them and just take a handful, and that's my portion for a day. Now I may want to split that into 2 times, maybe once in the morning, once in the evening, or I may just want to have the whole handful at one time. That's up to me. So that's how we try to portion it out completely. We also have to remember that it's high in nuts. So I can't have a handful of almonds and also do a handful of cashew nuts. Then I'm definitely going to put on weight because I'm over exceeding the amount of calories and fat in my body. So the rule of thumb is mix up your favorite nuts, make a mix, and just go with a handful a day.
Okay, that was very handy. I wanted to, we've covered this a little bit before, but the last 5 months have been challenging for a lot of people. And going back to what you originally said, it's not just the food you eat, but it's the way you relate to food. It's the way you treat your food. It's the way you might have certain practices or rituals that one uses to maintain their eating habits or their timings, etc. And this is, a challenging time. People are going through lots of emotions, from loneliness, anxiety, depression is, of course, one of them. A lot of possible frustration. People are at home bound, not being able to leave. And like you mentioned, some have actually reconnected with food in a beautiful way, if that means, going back into the kitchen or, learning how to cook traditional foods. What are some of your favorite rituals, if I may say, or practices that you recommend that one does mindfully when it comes to treating their food and eating their food?
So more about the food. See, I always give an example of, we treat a lot of people in villages and, a lot of people below poverty line. And we're not treating them for the kind of lifestyle conditions that people have in urban cities. We're treating them for things like typhoid because they don't have proper drinking water. but we hardly see people who are diabetic, people are obese and stuff like that. So it always reminds me that, we're a society today that is obsessed with better quality foods, more expensive foods, superfoods, and all of that stuff. But these people below poverty line have the simplest foods possible and way better health than all of us. It's not about the food we eat. Yes, quality matters because we can afford it. We like to do it. What really matters more than that is the way we eat our food. Today in society, we eat at different timings every day. Breakfast today is at 9 for me. Tomorrow it's at 11 o'clock because I stayed up late or I woke up late. The other day, I'll just read a post on intermittent fasting and I'll decide to skip breakfast. We've confused our bodies. We've confused our bodies to a, different level. So when we talk about the circadian rhythm, only by following a circadian rhythm, which is eating your meals at the same time every day, or starting your fast at the same time every day, ending your fast at the same time every day, working out at the same time every day. Your body follows a clock. By aligning with the laws of nature and the circadian rhythm, our body does most of the work that we are trying to do through diets and exercise programs that punish our bodies and stuff like that. Being healthy, losing weight should never have to be a struggle. But that complication has been introduced to us through, like Usha said, so much of information. When we just put people in the circadian rhythm, what is the circadian rhythm? It'll answer your question because this is the rituals that we follow, I follow, and we encourage people to. It's very simple. Number one, eat your meals at the same time every day. So if lunch is at 1 o'clock, eat at 1 o'clock every day. Second, your workout, okay? Work out at the same time every day, okay? Whether it's 5 in the evening, whether it's 5 in the morning. Third, sleep at the same time. Take your weekend, Friday night, Saturday night, sleep however late you want, do what you want. But Sunday evening, Sunday night to Friday, you have 5 days within your control to build a good sleep pattern that works with your hormones, which in turn works with your moods, your weight, and everything else. So sleep at the same time every day. Have early dinners. Now, we don't have an excuse with COVID. We do not have an excuse with COVID. The earlier you eat your dinner, the biggest issue in our country, we handle patients in the US, Europe, India, and I pick out my commonalities from all these places. The biggest issue in India is late dinners. We like to eat dinners at 10, 11, and half an hour later, sleep. That's absolutely detrimental to our blood sugar levels, our digestion. We can get away with it for a while, but with all the consequences. So bring your dinner down earlier. Try to eat at sunset or within 1 hour after sunset, which for India right now would be about 8 o'clock, which isn't too bad. And then try to sleep at the same time. When you wake up in the morning, try to keep your phones off for at least 1 to 2 hours because you need to connect with outside light, not phone light. Phone light suppresses your melatonin. When you wake up in the morning, you want to reset your melatonin. So even if you can't go out, open your window and just look at the sky. There doesn't even have to be sun, but you got to connect with natural light, which in turn will reset your circadian rhythm. So these are rituals that if you practice even 5 days in a week, your hormones are going to work better for you. Your weight loss is going to be more efficient. And then comes the food. Now let's take the other category, people who are just splurging money on exotic foods and organic foods and trainers and gyms and all of that stuff, but they're not observing the circadian rhythm. You have struggles. We need to ask ourselves, if you're spending so much money on great food and gym memberships and trainers, then why is your weight loss a struggle? Why is your health a struggle? Because there's one thing we need to remind ourselves. If we challenge the laws of nature, we have the consequences. No amount of quality food, doctors, nutrition, superfoods, nothing can fix anything when you challenge the laws of nature. So in life, there are fundamentals which can never change. One of the fundamentals is the circadian rhythm. Another fundamental is, like, let's take, for example, gravity. Okay, no matter how we advance, no matter who we are, gravity will stay as gravity. You throw a stone up, it has to land down. Electricity has to move from a higher ground to a lower ground. These things can never change. Like that, the cycles of nature in the human body can never change. The reason why we are sicker today, more depressed, more anxious, more stressed, is because all of us have challenged these laws of nature. And is it impossible to get back to those laws of nature? Absolutely not. As we speak, there are thousands of people who have just made this one change, living within the laws of nature. You can still socialize. It doesn't stop you from that. You can still eat your favorite foods. It doesn't stop you from that. All you're doing is working as per a clock. And these are the rituals which we swear by. You can have a patient who's sick with the best doctors and the best nutrition in the world. But if the patient is in the wrong environment, the patient's not going to heal. The patient has to be put in the right environment. That environment that I'm talking about are the laws of nature, the right amount of sleep, the right food that suits the disease, the right amount of activity. Overtraining is bad for you, so is undertraining. So it's all of these things together. These are the rituals that if we can embrace, I can guarantee you there are going to be positive changes in human health, the body as well as the mind.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Usha, I think you had a question where you wanted to probe a little bit more deeper into fasting. Over to you.
Yeah. My next question to you, Luke, is, with many women here in this forum, it would be really helpful to know if you can tell us which particular foods or supplements can help us to balance menopausal mood swings. And even the physical manifestations such as fatigue, hot flashes, weight gain, and other long-term changes like depleting bone density or the onset of cardiovascular diseases, all of which take a huge toll on us. Please educate us on this.
Right. So what we need to understand and always reflect, because see, there are no magic foods for menopause. I'm being upfront about that. What we need to do is we need to reflect. Do we remember our moms going through menopause? Most of us don't. Our moms just one day stopped their period and they were absolutely fine. The issue today is the fear psychosis. Every woman in their mid-30s are already talking about the fear of menopause. People hit their 40s or 42, their period gets scanty, they immediately think they're getting menopause. There's so much of fear and stress. And what brings on a painful menopause or an early menopause is number one, stress. Let's understand, when a woman goes through stress, what happens? Okay, cortisol levels go up, estrogen and progesterone fluctuate. So we actually start creating a hormonal imbalance at the young age of 40, which over the years, with our added stress from life and business and relationships, it just causes so much of imbalance that we started depleting estrogen way too fast. And some women have the opposite problem. They have excess estrogen, endometriosis, certain ER-positive breast cancers, ovarian cysts. That's different. But when it comes to menopause, I would like to advise women at the age of 35, start taking care of your weight and your health then. What you do at 35 or 40 or even 42 or 43 is going to determine how smooth your menopause is going to be. See, there are no foods that can balance out your hormones. Everyone will tell you have flax seeds, have phytoestrogens, have soy, and all of these things. On paper, yes, it will sound good that it can boost estrogen, but estrogen doesn't work that way. There is blood estrogen levels, and then there is estrogen that is stored in your bones, in your heart, in your brains. So what we need to do to prevent estrogen depletion, which causes osteoporosis and brain problems, we need to make sure that our calcium and our vitamin D3 levels over the years are always great. So even when my estrogen falls, my bone matrix is still solid. Now, a lot of women today who have a lot of abdominal fat are carrying the bad estrogen. They're storing a lot of that bad estrogen, which further leads to a bigger hormonal imbalance. And then when the menopause hits and estrogen starts getting depleted, you start putting on more and more weight in your abdominal area. So honestly, the lifestyle changes to handle menopause, my first tip is embrace it. Embrace the idea of menopause. It is going to happen. Don't jump onto oral contraceptives and all these bioidentical hormones unless you need it. Some women genuinely need it if they start bleeding heavy or their endometrial linings start growing uncontrollably. You need that. But for all other women, there are no shortcuts. Embrace it like you embrace the onset of your period cycle. It's going to happen. When we start resisting it and fighting it, that added stress is the worst for menopause. So like when we talk to a lot of senior citizens and moms, they were like, it just stopped one day. That's it. Most of them never even had night sweats. Most of them didn't even have the symptoms that we have today. Why? A lot of it is to do with the mind and with the amount of stress that we have in our lives. Now, what are some of the lifestyle? When it comes to foods, you can't go wrong. There are no superfoods. Your diet must have fruits, 2 to 3 fruits a day. Vegetables, at least 3 to 4 servings of vegetables. You must have legumes and lentils. So the examples are your dals, your rajmas, your chanas, because all of this is rich in folic acid. Folic acid works in tandem with hemoglobin, which in turn works with all of your hormones. So we can't just look at iron separately, folic acid separately. That's why when you're getting pregnant, why does your gynecologist give you prenatal vitamins that have folic acid, everything? Because everything goes towards creating human life. The same thing with every cell in the human body. The more we learn to handle our stress levels, because it's impossible to say that stress is possibly going to decrease. It's only going to increase, but that's not bad unless we learn how to handle it. Number 3, hydration. A lot of women who are dehydrated will face worse menopausal situations. Number 4, if you can cut down the alcohol as you hit menopause, just for those 4 or 5 months, you will come out of it way better. But if you go through binge drinking and a lot of alcohol and stuff like that, the menopausal symptoms are going to be way, way higher. Again, check your B12 levels, check your D3 levels. Evening primrose oil definitely helps. It definitely helps. It's been used as a remedy all through civilization. So that's something that you can get organic, you can get a good nutraceutical, and you can take that. Now, embrace the menopause. Okay, a lot of women start getting worried that I'm going to start putting on weight during menopause, but not all women do. Remember, if you're already carrying a lot of weight and you enter menopause, there's a big chance that it's going to increase. So that's why prevention is always better than cure. Right now, start looking after your health. The healthier you are, the happier you are. Happier doesn't mean you won't go through life's problems. It just helps you to realize that you're able to count your blessings, be grateful for the things that are going well. So you're still be able to be happy. I really think from my experience over the years, these are the things that play a huge role in menopause. There are no magic foods, and any homeopathic doctor, because homeopathy works really well with menopause, they'll tell you there are no foods for hormonal balance. If we can learn to reduce our stress, take life a little bit easy, eat the right foods. Another thing that drives women into early menopause are these fad diets, starvation diets, depriving yourself of calories, yo-yoing, your weight goes up, it goes down, it goes up, goes down. Your hormones are in havoc and you literally invite an earlier menopause. So it really comes down to your lifestyle when it comes to your hormones and sleep. Again, sleep is so important to maintain your hormonal balance.
Yeah, though we know this is a natural progression of our lives and that we should learn to roll with punches, most of us still see it as a struggle. As you said, preparing ourselves and our bodies ahead with a good diet will make it easier and all the baggage it comes with. Thank you. Thank you so much, Luke. Aarti, back to you.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't aware of so many of the things that Luke just spoke about with menopause. So that's some good ammunition, some very, very important knowledge for everybody on this forum. Now that we've hit 5 o'clock, I'm actually opening up the floor to bring in questions. I think it's, we have a lovely 200 or so people here, and I know many people will go back and watch this afterwards. So I would love to sort of jump into questions from the audience. I know that Chairperson, past Chair Hina Srivastava had a question. Hina, so if you're there, if you don't mind, if you could unmute yourself and ask your first question, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, IT team, is Hina Srivastava here?
Yes, she's available.
Yes, I am there, Usha. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Hi, Hina, over to you.
Thank you, Dipti, and thank you for giving me this question. I've been waiting for this too long, and thank you, Luke, for addressing FLO today with great insights of food and mood connection, mindful eating, and everything that every woman would like to know. My question here is today, we're talking about a lot of gluten. My question is also going to be a little personal towards me, which says that post malignancy and when you are wanting to be in remission and stay in remission, there's advice that you need to go off sugar and milk products and gluten-free. How much of insight do you think you can just help me on that?
So you definitely have to be off white sugar when you get diagnosed, during your treatments, and if you're looking at getting into remission. There's absolutely zero white sugar in the diet. Now, when it comes to milk and dairy, if you are getting ethically sourced milk, like, the A2, the Indian cow, and 100% that your source is good, it doesn't have hormones, it doesn't have antibiotics in, there is absolutely no issue having dairy as long as you're not intolerant towards it. I would always suggest have the lactase part of it. So, have curds, buttermilk, the yogurt part of it, and try to keep the milk really, really low, maybe just in your tea and coffee if you want it. If you're a milk lover, then make sure that you consume the right quality of milk. So there's no problem with that. When it comes to gluten, Now, if you have an issue with gluten, every time you have something that has gluten and you bloat up, or you get constipated, or you get loose motions with it, or it makes you feel uncomfortable, then definitely do not have gluten. You're intolerant to it. But if you can have wheat and it doesn't cause any issue for you, you're absolutely okay to have gluten. It's not an issue at all.
Thank you for that question, Hina. That was a very important question, given that especially we have a women's forum right here. Our next question is going to come from our past chair, Ms. Rekha Lahoti. Rekha, I can see you right there. Over to you.
Hi. It's so lovely to hear you, Luke. You've been associated with FLO Hyderabad for a long time. Come during Monica's year, if you remember.
Yes,
and
I do.
we were all together. Yeah. So, Luke, I wanted to, it's really, I don't think so this question has been asked by anyone, but, it's a little offbeat question, but it's obviously, deals with more with mood. And I was talking about aphrodisiac food and how does it help, and actually, like strawberries and chocolates is considered like, to be aphrodisiac.
That's a brilliant question. Brilliant question. So aphrodisiac foods are foods that can help stimulate our libido. And, as women hit menopause or as women hit their mid-45s, a lot of them have libido issues. It's not really an issue. We shouldn't think of it as an issue. It just means that your hormones aren't firing the right way. So for example, let me give you an example of men. If we have the right amount of testosterone, we have the right libido. For women, if you have too much of estrogen or too little of it, likewise with progesterone, the libido falls. So it's not a sickness. It's not something that we should feel bad about. What are the things that depress libido? The first one is obviously stress. Number two is lack of connection. Okay, so if you don't feel connected with your partner or whatever, libido is going to be low. Three, are there foods they call aphrodisiacs, like you rightly mentioned? How do these aphrodisiacs work? Remember, we spoke about serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin. These are neurotransmitters that if we feel like making love, if we feel like having sex, these neurotransmitters have to be communicating with each other for us to have the feeling. So these foods, like you said, there's strawberries, there's dark chocolate, there's honey mixed with garlic. These are powerful aphrodisiacs. Why? Because it helps us produce serotonin and it helps us to elevate oxytocin. So it gets us into the mood. So you see, the magic food won't just increase the libido, but because of your brain health, which is why the topic that the platform selected is apt. It all comes down to how you feel. I can tell you, I motivate you to feel good, but if your neurotransmitters are not fired, you're not going to feel good no matter what I say. For that, you have the right raw materials, which is your food. So that's how aphrodisiacs work. The combination of honey, garlic, and cinnamon. You take raw honey, you put about 10 to 12 mashed cloves in that honey, and you put cinnamon powder, Sri Lankan rolled cinnamon powder. For maybe a 200-gram jar, you put about a teaspoon of cinnamon powder. You leave it for about 15 days. These have been used as aphrodisiacs right across Egyptian civilizations and even in India, because it has the ability to communicate with our neurotransmitters. So yes, aphrodisiacs are real. Even onion is considered an aphrodisiac, which is why a lot of our religions in our country don't prefer that we eat onions, because it stimulates libido and sexual urges and stuff like that. So that's how libido, aphrodisiacs, and the brain are interrelated with each other. And it's great when we lose libido to explore these kinds of foods. They can really have an impact.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
That was an excellent question. I definitely did not know about onions. Thanks for highlighting that, Luke. Now I know the religious or the traditional culture of, avoiding onions. I'm going to request social media lead Ananda, UBL Ananda, if you could please ask your next question, that would be great.
Hi, great insights today, Luke, and passionately involved with agriculture and plant-based nutrition. It was great to hear you both, Aarti and Luke. So I have this question. Recent reports from doctors talk about problems stemming from an overusage of home remedies such as turmeric, vitamin D supplements, spurred by assumptions about their immunity boosting properties. Do you think, what is your take on this?
It's absolutely true. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been having yellow patients coming to me, completely yellow in their face. Their hands are yellow, their face is yellow, their feet are yellow. They've overdosed on turmeric. You see, anything which is even good for us, should never be done in excess, anything. You know, I have people who have carrot juices, because if you Google carrot juices clean out your liver. So they have 1 liter of carrot juice and they turn orange, you know, because your body starts storing it. It can't pass it out. So we need to understand these are real problems. It doesn't make them bad immunity foods. Okay, we definitely need zinc. We definitely need vitamin D3, curcumin, turmeric, everything, but in the right proportion. It doesn't mean that if I have more turmeric, I'm going to be healthier. It doesn't mean if I have more zinc, my immune system is going to be stronger. You see, that's why it's called a recommended daily allowance, an RDA. The human body requires small amounts of all of these things. So I think that's one, you know, factor that we're trying to educate people on. Just taking more and more doesn't mean you're going to be healthier. In fact, it can actually make your liver and your kidney work in overdrive to flush out all the excess that is not being assimilated. So yes, vitamin D3, that's why I always tell people, see, today a lot of our doctors will prescribe a maintenance dose, like take a 60K, you know, once a month. But a lot of people miss that once a month and they're doing it on a daily basis. And now you're going to move into toxicity, and that's bad for you, because vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. It stays in your fat. Like vitamin B is a water-soluble vitamin. So which means even if we overdose on that, we can flush it out with excess water. But they're not good things either. So, you know, get your vitamin D3 levels checked and then ask your doctor for a prescription, and he'll give you a maintenance diet. From my experience, and I personally take a vitamin D every single month, even though I have exposure to the sun, because the quality of the sun and the ozone has also changed. We have farmers who work barebacked in the fields, you know, for like 8 hours in a day, and they have low vitamin D3 as well. So, you know, supplementation of vitamin D3 has unfortunately become, you know, something which is almost mandatory for us. So check your levels once in every 6 months or a year, and your doctor gives you a maintenance dosage, but do it the right way. If you try to self-medicate and you make a mistake, it can actually harm you.
Thank you for answering that, Luke. So I know we're right at 5:10. I was just wondering, would you have a little bit of time to take on maybe another 2 more questions from the audience?
Sure, we can do another 2. Yeah.
Sounds great. All right. So I know, and being a women's forum, I think it would be really unfair if we do not answer the question around weight loss. I know you've addressed it and you've mentioned that there's, you know, multiple different ways to manage your weight, and there's multiple different factors. But I can see Pratibha has said, you know, people keep going around in circles with weight loss, and you know, a lot of us do the same workout. Are there sort of any ways to sort of break a plateau if somebody's trying to lose weight? Or is there sort of a very simple guiding principle that somebody should follow on this forum if they are trying to shed excess weight?
So the answer is in the question. The reason why we're going in circles is because we don't take one concept and embrace it completely. We keep changing it. If the weighing scale doesn't move down in a week, we change our diet. So the body doesn't even have time to get used to a way of living or metabolism. And the second answer is in exercise. If you keep doing the same thing, you keep getting the same results. To break a plateau, you got to keep changing your exercise schedule every 2 weeks. So, you know, we can't do the same things. And that's why a week where, you know, one day you do weight training, the next day you just walk, the third day you do yoga, the fourth day maybe you do high interval training, the fifth day maybe you do Pilates. That way you would never hit a plateau, because you're challenging multiple muscles in different ways. You see, muscles get very used to a way of working out. We get used to a way of doing everything. It's called muscle memory. So if we're not changing our workouts, we're going to get the same results. And honestly, I mean, if I have to look at the commonalities in India of the top reasons why people struggle with weight loss, honestly, food is at the bottom, okay? Most people are eating the right way. Like I said, the problem is they're eating at the wrong times, or they're overeating, or they're eating too quickly. These 3 things have to change. The second point, a lot of women struggling to lose weight have issues with their gut. They're either constipated, not passing motions for 1 to 2 days, struggling to pass out motions, they're acidic, they have bloating all the time. So you got to first fix your gut before you even lose weight. Number 3, if you're deficient in D3, there is no way you're going to lose weight. Vitamin D3 is a precursor hormone. In fact, it's an indicator to the body to put on weight. So when I have low vitamin D3, it actually signals to my body to put on more weight. And of course, number 1 is stress. Because we have to understand, a lot of people say, oh, Luke, everyone's stressed. Yes, we are. But you need to understand, if it is your contributing factor, you got to do something about it. Because let's understand, a moment a woman is stressed, your cortisol levels go up. Not a problem, as long as they come down quickly. Now, after a while, your adrenaline levels go up. If adrenaline goes up, progesterone drops. If progesterone drops, estrogen goes up. And that's what most women are storing in their abdominal area and midriff, estrogen-induced fat. So we really have to look at lifestyle. We really have to give diet the minimum importance and more to lifestyle. Tons of women are overtraining today. They're working out every single day. We all know that the more rest and recovery you have, like if I work out really well today, I really need an entire day break tomorrow. So maybe I can do yoga or a light walk. But a lot of people are training different body parts without a single day of rest. You're just producing more inflammation in the body. So you see, that is why we are failing at weight loss. And the women who have success are changing their lifestyles. They're embracing foods. They're not scared of having 1 or 2 desserts a week. They're not scared of putting a little sugar in their chai. They're not scared of doing these things because that's not the cause of weight gain. The cause of weight gain and the inability to lose is purely your lifestyle. Hormones, what's going on in your mind, you're either overtraining or you're undertraining. So I think, like I spoke about the circadian rhythm, most people, if they start living the circadian way, everything gets sorted out. There are women today, intermittent fasting has also become a fad. People are doing 20, 21 hours, 22 hours. It's unnecessary. People who are circadian fasting, which is 12 hours. If I finish my dinner at 8 in the morning, I break it. But I'm fasting according to my laws of nature. They are losing way more weight than people who are fasting for 17, 18, 19, or 20 hours. So I think we got to stop making fads and understand that everyone is unique. What works for you doesn't have to work for someone else. Some women are carb efficient, which means they perform better on more carbs. Other women, carbs make them put on weight, so they got to be low carb and maybe high protein. Everyone is different. So we need to find out what works for us, select that path, and then just go on with that determination that it'll work for us. But if we keep changing every week, we're going to have different results all the time, the yo-yoing effect.
That was really helpful, Luke. And I think you've sort of addressed a couple of the other questions, right? There's so many fads going on around right now, and people are quite conflicted. Like Usha said at the beginning, there's too much information. Not half of it is science-based when it comes out in the news, or there hasn't been enough practice in the Indian community, or, it's always been practiced on Westerners when it comes down here. So as sort of a final question for the audience here, would you want to leave everyone with maybe just 3 suggestions if we're trying to take care of our emotional well-being, our brains? In summary, are there 3 things, specific things that you think we should address? So one is definitely stress and cortisol, but I turn it over to you to answer, what those 3 takeaway things might be for us.
Yeah, I think, I'll answer it a little differently. See, the more time we spend on social media, the more time we spend comparing our lives with one another, it all comes down to human mindset. Today people's mindsets are so fixed about weight loss, but yet we fail to notice a set of women who may not have the best figures, but they are way happier than others who even have better figures. We have to understand that mindset, unfortunately, has been driven into our society, and a lot are to blame. Men are to blame. Men not accepting women the way they are, and a lot of women shaming one another. It comes down to that. What is that stress to lose weight? There should never be stress to lose weight. If I'm eating well, if I'm working out, if I'm sleeping, stress is managed, I will lose weight, period. That's the fundamental. You can't change that. There's no debate required. There's no science required. That's how the human body works. But the point is, why do we lose the motivation to do these things? It comes down to our inner self. You see a lot of women and men today, we are connected with the outside world. Okay, the outside world controls everything within us. Someone talks about a new diet. It's simple. I've just put an article which has fat loss at the beginning, and we have millions of downloads. But I put an article on balance your hormones, and you probably have just 10,000. It's that word which is ingrained in our mind, which is fine. But I think, at the end of the day, I ask all the women who are struggling with weight, are you happy? The answer is no. Why are you living that way? What's the point? You're successful, you have your own business, you're running companies, all of that stuff, but this one little thing causes so much of sadness in your life. So I think, women have, since it's a women's forum, I'm going to talk to women. I think it's about time we take a step backwards and really, really look at our self-worth. Okay, I'm not here to say you have low self-worth, but it does stem from there. If we can't be okay with the way we are, I'm not saying have unhealthy weight and accept it. That's dangerous for you. But I'm saying Don't stress yourself out and get into a vicious cycle of more and more stress, which is not allowing you to lose weight. Okay, if you need to lose weight today and you realize, okay, Luke, reflecting on your points, I need to stop overeating. I need to stop overtraining. I need to sleep better. I need to start learning to accept and let go, of things that stress me out. I have 4 action points. Can I just do these points? That's it. With motivation every day, without distraction. Tomorrow you see a new video of someone else and you say, oh, let me try that. Okay, you've broken the cycle. So everyone's unique. Weight loss for us is the easiest thing, but it's the most complicated dealing with people. In fact, my cases with cancer are way easier, because with weight loss, you're dealing with emotion. And emotion is something that women and men struggle with a lot. So take it easy, make an action plan, reflect on the 4 verticals. Your nutrition, how are you eating? Overeating, undereating, how much of outside food, how much of sugar? Introspect. You will find your answer. You don't even need me to tell you where you are going wrong with your diet. Of course, you have a kidney problem, diabetes, that can help. But otherwise, just weight loss, most people can figure it on their own. Look at your exercise. Am I overtraining? Do I feel energetic? Okay, or is my training making me feel more demotivated? Injuries, more inflammation. Something's wrong. Correct it. Sleep. Do I wake up feeling rested? That's the only question you need to ask yourself. Whether it's 5 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, that doesn't matter. If I wake up feeling rested, my sleep is good. Tick mark. And my stress levels. Am I happy? At least most of the times. Let's not use the word happiness. That's subjective. Do I feel good on at least 20 out of 30 days in a month before I go to sleep? Can I say, this was a good day? I feel good. Because if the answer is no, you have a lot more than weight loss to worry about. You have something called fulfillment. I have a lot of entrepreneurs who come and say, Luke, we've done it. We've made it. We have everything. I just don't feel happy. I don't get that fulfillment because there's a void and we're trying to fill these voids with the wrong things. So really introspection, meditation, don't even call it meditation. Mindfulness. Do you know you? Do you know what really makes you happy, or has society defined what makes you happy? Interesting study that came out of COVID, everyone who socializes so much, they're like, Luke, when I look back, I enjoyed it, but I think it was mindless to some extent. Now, when I look back, why would I need to get stressed out about what dress to wear every Saturday night, what handbag to carry? It's like, I feel foolish. These are real things that people are reflecting on. And people are really learning to live amongst themselves. Yes, socializing is good for us, but we overdid it way before lockdown. So, weight loss, I call these the peripheral issues that we have. If you're not happy or you don't feel good, now imagine you feel good. You wake up in the morning, you'll do the things you're supposed to do. But if you don't feel good, we need to be fulfilled from other areas in life. And the world always has something for you, a new phone, a new handbag, a new car, a new course to do, something to numb our voids, numb our feelings, but only we can fill it. So I really encourage you all. My first point would be reflection. Introspect in yourself. Don't look at what your friends are doing. They're different. They have different lives. They have different opinions. Don't look at what the world is doing. You're unique. You're an individual. That's number one, point number one. Number 2, sort out your sleep. Your sleep is everything. Learn to organize your day with, like I have a 16-hour day. I plan my day around 16 hours because 8 hours is non-negotiable. That's for my sleep. If I wake up in 6 hours, guess what? I have 2 extra hours that I can use any way I want. But don't plan your day around compromising your sleep. Most of my health cases today are because of sleep deprivation. So don't be that person. Build a successful business, but keep your health in check. Do not compromise it. I know the world has shown us to be successful, we need to have a jet set life. We need to do all of these things to feel good and also genuinely do business. But how many of us who were traveling before COVID and can't travel right now, okay, has it affected us in a way? Maybe our businesses have gotten affected a small way, but we're still running them. We've still found ways to run them. So we can slow down post-COVID as well when travel starts. It's not something which is mandatory. So slow down in life. Reflection, sleep, very, very important. And my third point would be keep a balance of exercise and nutrition. I tell people, I don't know the best diet for you if you come to me. I don't know. It's only when I understand you as a person, your environment, what you do, that can I form a diet. Go back to your childhood. The foods that your parents fed you, if you were healthy, if you were at the right weight, if you were happy, that should be the diet that you are eating today. There is no reason to change that just because science, the West, and nutritionists told you or educated you with new ways of living. So I am the happiest and at the best of my physical health and mental health when I eat the food that I grew up on. So sometimes that includes white bread because my parents gave me white bread. And when I eat white bread, I don't have any issues. But when I try to eat brown bread and rye bread and all of that stuff, it just feels uncomfortable to me. That's my story. It doesn't have to be yours. So when I go back to my childhood diet, where I was happy and healthy, that's exactly the diet I'm eating today. Now, sometimes I get thrown in directions, have a smoothie, do a green shake, do all of that stuff. And then I ask myself, why? For what? Is it going to add a benefit? Yeah, maybe. Let me try wheatgrass. I'm studying it. It's great for me. So I'll add. I can build on my childhood diet, but I don't have to change it. So please ask yourself these questions and understand that you are a unique individual, okay? What the world tells you does not have to work for you. It doesn't have to work for you. Your body may be efficient at 12 hours of fasting. Do 12 hours. Someone else is maybe efficient at 16 hours. Do 16 hours. You know, you may be great with 2 desserts in a week. I like 2 desserts in a week. I'm happy, I'm healthy, everything works. I'm not going to stop it. It works for me. Does it work for you? If yes, then change the right mechanisms, not the wrong ones. Everything that has been demonized doesn't have to necessarily be bad for you. So I would really like people to use this time in COVID to step back, have a mind of your own. Most people who come to us already know what they have to do. They already know what they have to do. They just need the courage to embrace that part and do it with belief. But if I keep looking left, right, and changing, I'm going to have different results all the time. So the best diet for you ever is the diet which works for you and which is sustainable. If you get on a fad diet, your results are going to be unsustainable. You know, as long as the fad diet lasts, you'll have weight loss. The moment you stop the fad diet, because you know you can't continue it, you put all the weight back on and more, and you create a hormonal imbalance. So that's how it would be.
Wow, that was beautifully said. And your energy is just contagious. I think you've just beautifully summed up how, you know, food is just one element, but we're eventually circling back to our psyche, to our psychology, and the self-talk that every one of us is going through, and what that self-talk can do for us. It can either harm us or, you know, benefit us. And you sort of highlighted, you know, how some people sort of benefited during this time by just introspecting. So I think that was a fantastic summary. I think all of us here, especially given how entrepreneurial this forum is, of tremendously hardworking, you know, women. I've been through some of the challenges that you've mentioned, Luke, and I'm sure everybody can relate to some of the issues that you've highlighted. So I really hope, you know, everyone here listening can take away that we really need to start with the mind and stand as individuals and not fall prey to trends and things that are going around us. So thank you so much, Luke. I really, really appreciate you being here on this forum. Appreciate it. Great.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much, Luke. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was fantastic. I am now going to ask Priya to take over from me now. Thank you, Priya. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Aarti. That was so beautifully steered. And on a lighter note, I was so apprehensive. Luke would say, leave that bar of chocolate alone, because that's like my quick fix for energy and alertness. And if Usha's truthful, she'll also have one on her desk.
Yes. Yes.
I'm so relieved that Luke didn't debunk that theory about chocolate. Of course, he said dark chocolate, but we'll get there soon. On a serious note, though, thank you for helping us understand that it is the whole dietary pattern that matters, not just specific foods or nutrients, which means there's no superfood for mental health. Rather, it's important to eat a balanced diet at all times, I think right through from our childhood. Thank you, Aarti. Thank you for helping us bring out all that from Luke, who's so knowledgeable about all this. Now, initially we had planned to play our Celebrity Bites video, but I think we are already at 5:27. So I am requesting Shubhra Maheshwari, our Vice Chairperson, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Unmute.
Oh, this was such a power-packed afternoon, Luke. Good evening, everybody. I, Shubhra Maheshwari, on behalf of Picky Ladies Organization, Hyderabad, extend my most sincere thanks to the global holistic lifestyle coach, Mr. Luke Coutinho, who shared his nuggets of wisdom with us today. His insights into integrative medicine and lifestyle changes will be a guiding light in these challenging times. When diet is wrong, medicine is of no use. When diet is correct, medicine is of no need. So we have wisely learned today that there is no magic bullet. You gotta eat healthy and live healthy to be healthy and to look healthy. The world today is facing the most challenging situation in the form of a global pandemic where, since 6 months, the doctors and researchers are still wading their way to reach that perfect cure for COVID. And in the meanwhile, we all are aiming at that perfect immunity and mental health that can beat COVID. Dear Luke, your thoughts have enlightened our minds and have shown us a new path. Thank you so much. We thank our moderator today, Ms. Aarti Deva, who navigated this journey of good food and good mood today. I would also like to thank Ms. Usha Shri Triparneni for being a part of our event today. We would like to sincerely thank our sponsors for having such a caring and giving heart, because without their financial support for this event, it would not have been possible. Polman Group of Companies, our gold partner, RBC Worldwide, our branding partner, and Pushpan Publications, our gifting partner. You all have been the catalyst that stimulated us to do our best and stood as support to FLO Hyderabad. With a deep sense of appreciation, we thank members of the press for taking our journey of knowledge and empowerment to far ends, and deep sense of gratitude to our past years who've been our pillars of strength always. An event like this cannot happen overnight. The wheels start rolling weeks ago. It requires planning and a bird's eye for details. We've been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very proactive and dedicated committee members who are well versed in their job. I'm short of words for our proactive efforts of IT team who, along with our committee, are willing to take on the completion of tasks beyond their comfort zones. Thank you, each one of you. Stay safe, stay free. Over to Priya.
Unmute, Priya.
On behalf of Usha and her team, thank you so much for joining us here today. A big thanks again to Aarti for all that coordination behind the scenes. Even now, I did bother her with a couple of phone calls. Stay tuned, ladies, for more such meaningful interactions and initiatives from your own FLO Hyderabad. Until then, stay fit, stay positive, and eat mindfully. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aarti. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure getting everybody to know everyone here. Look forward to more. Thank you.